Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
And I'm Beth Ellicott.
And you are listening to the midweek version of the Fiber Talk podcast that we do twice a week. Well, we're doing it again. We're back. So yes. Twice a week for needlework artists. Sorry about that hiatus there. The COVID thing got me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm glad you took time off because, you needed it.
Yeah, I was going to muscle through, but Beth twisted my arm and made me stop, and that was a good move because, it was. It had me down. It had me down for the count. Yep, and still tired, but much better now. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah. So sorry about that, but we just had to have that hiatus. It was going to be tough to do shows. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So we're back now. Sunday, Shayna Ben-Hayoun of SBT Stitches, which was going to be 2 weeks ago. That'll be the Sunday show. It's been sitting here. It's ready to go. So that'll be the Sunday show. Yep.
Yeah.
And tonight we have the Stitch and Chat. We'll be back with the Wednesday night Stitch Hour, back in action with that. So Stitch and Chat, Beth, me, Jennifer. I think I haven't talked to Jennifer, but So we'll be gathering for that. So, and then I remind everybody, Threads of Awakening, the Leslie Rinchen Wangmo book, now will be available August 23. So
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, pre-order that book or order it, whatever you got to do. But it is a book you definitely need to read. It's really, really good. And so just a reminder that, and then we had the show, the podcast with her, and then Leslie was on a Wednesday night show here now 3 or 4 weeks ago. Look that up because we got to see her work and hear about it and talk about how she goes about it. And it was really good. So, but that book, Threads of Awakening, get it. You will enjoy it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Good one.
Yes.
We're working on doing some videos and lining up some things. And one that we're going to do for sure that's all set up is this Friday with Jessica Grimm. We're going to record. She does an awful lot of research of historic goldwork and embroidery. And so she has put together a set of photos, and we're going to record a video show with her and have her take us through and show us some of this ancient gold work and what goes on with it and what her research has shown. And so that's coming up. Not sure how we'll make that available, but it will be available. And going to do more of that kind of stuff because there's just so much to be shown and shared. And we have all these experts that we know who are willing to do it. And so we just got to get things recorded and shared for people. Right. And I know everybody, gold work, a lot of people go, "Oh, no, I'm not doing that." You don't have to do it. Just learn.
Yeah, it's right. And it's beautiful stuff to look at. I don't care for gold work to do it. I've done a little, but but I love looking at it. There's something intriguing. I think it's the sparkle. Something about all that sparkle. And these historical pieces, you're going to learn about the history, and I think that stuff is fascinating as a needleworker, all the history that goes into the textile. So, yeah, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it adds meaning to any needlework to see what ages ago without LED magnifiers and and all this stuff. Amazing work these people did, and
right.
Because I liken it to, like, if you, Tour de France just finished up here in July, and the Tour de France for the women, and I love watching the bike racing, but almost as much I love watching the countryside and all the architecture because they incorporate a lot of that because they have helicopters following the racing, so the helicopters fly over these old churches and old buildings and stuff. And I just marvel at how and what these people built, in the 12th, 13th, 14th century, whatever it is. There was one abbey they showed And I thought, it was a massive thing sitting on the top of a mountain. And the commentator said, yeah, made in 680. It's still being used today.
Yeah.
And I stopped it right there, and I went and hunted Marga down. I said, look at this, 680. And so, massive thing built. And well, take that to needlework, take that to gold work, same kind of thing. Amazing artwork and needlework done hundreds of years ago, and just so gorgeous. It's
right. And I think it teaches you something, and you learn something, and you might be able to apply it to what you're currently working on. I just find it all interesting.
Yeah.
It adds another dimension, another layer to our art.
Yeah. And that's just it. We think of current day cross stitch or whatever we're doing, needlepoint, whatever, and we're doing techniques and making things that have thousands of years of history behind them. Right. And they aren't just some new invention made here in America. There's just a gigantic pile of history behind it, and it's, to me, to learn about that is just equally interesting. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun to record.
Yeah. So that's coming up. Yep. And then we have the Saint-Tropez, Mystery in Saint-Tropez. Now we're getting ready. So everybody, I got my stuff. Beth got her stuff from Kathy
Ray.
At Needle in a Haystack. I have not opened my box.
I've slid open the bag, but I didn't pull it out yet. So we're gonna have to do an unboxing here.
Right. So we're gonna do a video of that, and I'm dying to see this Congress cloth linen. So we're gonna do a video of that, and then we'll do another video that shows how to mount on stretcher bars. And then we'll just start doing things. So Cindy and Jennifer are doing from Stash. And Beth, which colorway did you end up with?
It was one of the two oranges. I think she didn't have, I think it was called Ethiopia, was the darker watercolors orange colorway. She didn't have that one. And I said, I'll order that one later.
Okay.
Just don't worry about it. And so I'm not sure. I don't think she sent that in there with it. I think I've got the other colorway.
Okay.
So, but it's oranges. It's oranges. And I asked her to send me some black canvas and I think some orange canvas. So I have to see. I've got to lay them out and kind of start playing.
Yeah. Well, that's what we'll do in the unboxing, because I'm doing the Congress cloth one, and I asked her to send me 2 pieces of the linen Congress cloth, because I want to do the doodle cloth setup as Gayanne has suggested, and then decide what I want to do for the final piece, and then stitch that.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I know for me, I'm going to, I think she gave me enough to do an ornament on each of those. So I'm going to set it up so I work on one of the larger ornaments, and play with that to see how I like the colors. And that way it's much easier to rip out a little bit than to rip out a whole bunch if I don't like something. So
right. Yeah. So we all have a different way that we're approaching this thing. And so we'll get the videos, and then as we have promised, we'll do videos that for people who are complete beginners. Here's how to mount this on stretcher bars, and here's how we figure out where the center is, and all the things that, because Gayanne always wants you to start in the center. So
right.
Yeah. So all that coming up soon here. Now that we have our materials, we can get to work, and we would have done it a week or 2 weeks ago, but I got sick. So yeah, that COVID, because you asked at a couple of points if I was doing any stitching, and I haven't. I did a little bit, but I haven't, because I have to keep a magazine going. And so what energy I had to do that, got used to keep the magazine going. and then otherwise I was just sleeping.
Right.
Just couldn't do any more, and I'm finally now. Well, it was just the other day I rode my bike for the first time in better part of 2 weeks, and that night I slept 9 hours. If I sleep more than 5 hours, it's rare. I slept 9 hours. I was just gassed.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's well, you've had it a couple times, so you know.
Right. Right. And you just it just takes something out of you. It's like, okay, I've loaded the dishes in the dishwasher. It's time for a little rest.
I know.
Time to take a break. So
Yeah,
it's like,
and it's hard to explain that if people haven't had it. People who've had it know exactly what we're talking about, but if you haven't had it, it's really hard to explain. I mean, it's just like you're compelled to sleep. It just there's no other option. Yeah, I did the dishwasher, and now I got to sleep for 2 hours.
Right.
I just
Right. Right.
it's
Right.
and it's frustrating. Ugh.
Right. But I think if you don't do it there in the beginning, sometimes it you get it again and you get it worse. So
Yeah.
it's like you just gotta just let it take its course and get some rest, and
Yep.
eventually it gets better.
Yeah. Well, it better get better. Jeez. Because like this morning, I rode 12 miles, a flat, easy 12 miles on my trainer, and because I wanted to see how I reacted, and I held up pretty well after that. I've not had to sleep or anything like that, but that's an easy 12 miles. So tomorrow now I'll come back, first back-to-back days, and see what happens. And if it drains me, then that tells me where I'm at again.
Right.
Frustrating. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And speaking of ugly health, how are we doing with the kneecap?
Well, we're doing better. I found I can walk, but it's slow walking, very, very slow. And I know I need to keep moving. That's one of the things I know I don't want to stop, because if you stop moving, then everything stops.
Right.
But I was talking to my husband this morning, and I said, my I know it doesn't really hurt, but it feels swollen. And he looked and he goes, yeah, it looks a little swollen there. So I was standing and doing something, and I obviously stood too long. So, but I think it's definitely healing. It's definitely healing. I have a doctor's appointment next week. Well, and that's what I'm worried about, that the kneecap isn't in the right place. And as long as it's healing and in the right place, I'm good to go.
Yeah. But
that
it gets
sounds terrible,
to
people.
it gets to what we've talked about before. We talked about this a few weeks ago with Jennifer. This awareness that we all have to have of stretching and moving. As you do needlework and you just sit. Yes. And that was when I was in the throes of the COVID thing, just sitting in chairs and laying down on recliners and in bed, and I got to a point I got to move. I got to move the muscles and the blood, and it just I think we just don't realize how important it is to move and stretch and
right. And the other thing is the balance. That was after falling, I realized, oh shoot, I need to go back to my balance exercises. I've never had, as my family will attest, I've never been very coordinated. So doing those simple balance exercises that you're supposed to do. I know you and Jennifer talked about stretching, but just there's simple ones. You can Google them. And that's all. I think that helps you. It helps you build your core up. It makes it easier to do things you want to do, and it keeps you from falling, which is the really, as we get older, that's the bad one. Is falling. So yeah, and I find, even though I was supposed to be sitting and using not putting a lot of weight on my leg and not doing it, I found I could not just sit and stitch, even though. It was like I had permission. I was like, I have to get up. I have to go and at least walk around the house once,
Yeah.
I just could not stay seated that long. It was just driving me out of my mind. It's like, I got to move.
Yeah,
Gotta
but
move.
yeah, and it's a habit thing that if you're if you're sitting for hours and hours, you really need to change and develop a habit of getting up and moving, and
Right.
because it just you get all kinds of trouble that creeps up. One of the YouTube things that I watch is Bob and Brad,
Oh,
and it's a
yeah.
couple of physical therapists, and they're semi entertaining to watch, but they provide really good information for just these kinds of things. Here's how to do balance exercises. Here's what you should do, and they're sensitive to older people and what they can and can't do,
Mm-hmm.
and I find them really useful in terms of offering from a physical therapist and explaining what it is you need to do to improve your balance and your flexibility and so on and so forth. And yeah, they're really good. And of course, they've got a whole line of exercise products to sell. Who doesn't? But
Right.
they don't push it very hard at all. I mean, they use the stuff when they show their exercises. But now I bought those stretcher band things.
Mm-hmm.
I bought their set, and really good quality, and I'm really glad I got them, and I've used them a lot and done their exercises. But yeah, just as we get older, it's just really important to keep limber. Just have
Right.
to.
Right. Right. Because if not, you end up not being able to do the things you want to do, and the things we want to do is needlework, and if you're not, you know, keeping your shoulders limber, you're just going to have problems.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, and
it's a problem.
your stitching sessions get shorter and shorter
Mm-hmm.
because you just can't do it as long, and you go, boy, I'm getting old. I just can't do it as long. No, you probably can. You just need to make that extra effort to stretch, move, um,
Right.
limber up, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yep.
So
So
you asked if you on one of our questions you asked if you did pre work, like did some doodle cloth before, which goes along with doing limbering up. Do you do any stitching beforehand to get ready to do your stitching stuff?
no, I don't. But I think that's I put that down on the list because for me, I don't do a little warm up, and I don't know why, because I definitely notice when I start stitching that my initial 10 or so minutes of stitching are not as good. And it's like, why are you putting those into a finished product? Why are you not using those secondary stitches on a doodle cloth that don't count? And then once you kind of have a rhythm going, then actually go to the piece.
Right. And I don't do that normally, but we have Trisha Nguyen's whitework sampler going, and I'm I'm not comfortable with those stitches at all. They're just the the needle lace in there is something I don't do a lot of. And I'm thinking I really need to get something set up, some sort of doodle, like Mary Corbett set one up on her site, so that I have a place to practice before I do it on the real thing.
Yeah.
Because if not, I think to just keep taking it out of the piece, you're likely to make a real mess. And this piece requires um, special tension. You need really good tension. You need to have things placed properly, and it's not something that just oh, I'm just going to do it. It doesn't work. You've got to practice it,
Yeah.
and I don't want to practice on the piece I have set up because I don't want to have to take it out again.
Right. Yeah, and something like that it really shows up
Right.
because as you get warmed up and get a rhythm and kind of get a feel for the tension, then those early stitches will definitely be of secondary quality. I shouldn't say substandard, but certainly not as good as once you're loose and have a feel for it.
Right.
And it's no, I'm with you. I think I should just have a hoop, like even for cross stitch, just have a hoop with a piece of linen in there, and just a piece of black thread. And all right, the first 10 minutes, I'm just going to make X's with black thread, and then throw it aside, and then go to work on the piece. And because there's a difference. I'm convinced, and I think at the other end, there's a difference.
To get you tired.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Because like I'm working on that painted canvas piece, the lizard, and I find when I'm getting tired, I don't want to rethread a needle. I don't want to. So I've got just a little, and I'm like, just stop. Just stop. You need to take this. Yeah. So don't start a new thread. Just put it away as it is if you don't want to rethread. But I could see the fuzzies. I was like, oh, I went too far and I got fuzzy thread and I really can see it and it's annoying me and this has all got to come out. And
Yep.
what a pain. And
Yep. No, I agree with you. Yeah, you're tired. I don't want to do another. I'm going to stretch this as far as I can, but then you end up tearing it out, and then the progress you thought you made, you didn't make.
Right.
And frustration sets in, and just have the self-discipline to stop. Just stop. Yep.
Right. And on that piece, I've made mistakes. I've just thought, oh, I'm tired, but I'm just gonna keep going. It'll be all right. I'm doing the background of Bargello, and I know I have problems with Bargello. For some reason, my brain doesn't always click with it. And I was looking, and sure enough, there was a mistake, and I had to rip out a whole section because it was glaring to me. And I was like, okay, this is just, if I had just done it when I was a little more awake instead of just kind of just kept going,
yep,
then I wouldn't have had this issue.
Yep. Yeah. No, I have a pretty firm rule that when I get to the evening and have time to stitch, if I'm sitting there nodding off, like if I had TV on and I would just be nodding off, I don't stitch. I'm pretty firm about that because it's just a waste of energy.
Right.
And but then I wonder, okay, so I have that, I just simply don't do it. But then I wonder, should, we talk about multiple projects on the nights where you're alert or the afternoons when you're alert and you're on top of it, do you do the more complex ones? And then when you're really kind of drained, do you then go to some simple cross stitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I do. And so the Bargello, even though it seems like, okay, it's just a simple pattern, you're just following the pattern. It's not for me. So I cannot do it when I'm tired. So
Right.
if I'm tired, I'm taking out Alice Ellen Usher, which is a Bristol sampler. And I love doing those little alphabets. For some reason, I can do an alphabet. I like doing those little letters and they just make me happy. And so I just thread up a bunch of needles and away I go. And then if I get too tired, then I've been quitting. But I keep several projects going. And then even a surface embroidery would be like the Stitch Stories pieces we have. Because it's maybe stitches you already know. So like a detached chain, and it's already printed on there. So once you get it in that hoop, you can just, make a chain stitch, or
right.
It's not as complicated.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot to that. Warming up, stopping when you get tired, and you mentally, you're just cheating the system just because you're trying to get this one section done, and you're just going to have to rip it out. So just stop.
Right.
Just spare yourself. And I think all those things just become a little bit of fact. It's interesting on the Bargello, because you look at Bargello and you think that's mindless, simple stitching. But I find that is one where it is so easy to get off.
Right.
And because the colors and stuff, your mind is that psychedelic thing that your mind starts doing. I feel like I really have to pay attention more than you think you would with Bargello, just to make sure you don't get, one hole off or
and I'm going around. I didn't put this is the background, and it's got the 3 lizards on it, the 3 reptiles. And so I had to go around things.
Oh.
And so trying to figure out the pattern where it was supposed to go, that was the brain bender for me. And yeah, that was hard.
Yeah, no, you got to pay attention with that more than it looks. It looks like, oh, that's just mindless, just sit and go. No. Mm-mm. No, I don't think so.
Right, especially if it's a big section. Now, like, it was just a little, I could do a little piece on a sampler, so I don't want people to get afraid of it. If you're just doing a 4-inch band or something, yeah, I can do that. But this is, I don't know how big that canvas is. It's good 10 inches that I'm covering going across. And it's a lot, and going around things, and yeah, that's when it's making my mind hurt.
Yep. So are you a better stitcher at a particular time of day?
I think in the early evenings, probably my best time. I do work on porte-a-fête early in the morning, the 53, 63 count linen with that, it's a sampler. And so that's tiny. And so I like to do that when my eyes are not tired. But most of the time, early evening, like right after supper and cleaning up the kitchen, that's probably my best time.
Okay. And then when do you run out of gas? 9:30?
Yeah, actually about 10 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I've got to be done now.
That's it.
I'm done. This is the hard line. I'm done. It's time for bed.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. See, for me, well, I generally only can stitch in the evenings. Because for me, particularly if we're putting together a magazine, morning is my editing time for the same reason. If I have to do serious editing, technical features and stuff, they have to be in the morning. I will not tackle them in the afternoon or evening at all, because I end up again going back and redoing and going, what was I thinking? So no, that has to be in the morning. But so I just can't do that. But if I get very late into the evening, I don't even try, because it's just going to be a waste.
Right. Yeah. Right. So what do you work on when you're tired? Is there something you like to work on? Like if you say, well, I'm going to stitch on something. I want to stitch. I have some time, but I'm kind of tired. What do you like to work on?
I would go to counted canvas work more, because like cross stitch, I like to do 40 count linen is kind of my standard. And so for me, I start on those, even with a magnifier, I start making mistakes. So, but I feel like with counted canvas, I can do that just about any time, and because those stitches for me are easier to see immediately if there's an error, I guess. And so I would go to that first. If I was tired, rather than, you'd think it would be cross stitch. And if I wasn't doing it on 40 count or higher linen, I would agree. But I start making mistakes, and I'm off by a thread, and it's off by a thread. Who cares? But it drives me nuts. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have I'm trying to think. Do I have a counted canvas piece that I'm actively working on? I know I have some started. We won't discuss that one. But I don't think I have any that I'm currently really working on. But those are good to have, because they're you just start, the stitches. If you know the stitches, it makes it relaxing. Right. I guess we are getting ready to start our mystery class.
Yes.
So that would fill my void there, right?
There it is. Yep. but you cover so much ground with them.
Mm-hmm.
You cover a lot of ground. For me, it's really easy to see if you got off by a thread.
Right.
That's easy to see, and you're tired. You feel like you really make good progress. So, and I think it's easy to see the tension errors too.
Right.
So yeah, I would. That's where I would go to. Yeah, like I'm working on this Gad Rogers Lady Mary geometric thing, and it's just I can sit there and I can have a movie on TV and just go, and I'm pretty comfortable with it. Yeah, where like a sampler. Now I feel like I have to pay pretty good attention to make sure that I don't get things out of whack. And so I pay more attention to that, I think. And it's just cross stitch. I mean, I'm just making X's, but I just feel like I have to make sure I don't miscount. And so more focus. Yeah.
Yeah. A little more focus. Yeah, that's true. And since you're doing 40 count versus, a counted canvas is generally 18.
Right.
That's a huge difference in size.
Right. Right. Yeah. And, and with most counted canvas stitches, once you see how the stitch pattern goes, you really don't have to look at a diagram or anything. It's just obvious, and you can just go. Yeah.
Right. Which makes it a lot of fun too, because then you can watch the shoot 'em up movies.
You bet. You bet. Yep.
How many interruptions?
I'm in the middle. I'm halfway through one right now. I had to stop the other night. I had to stop stitching because I had to go to bed. It's like, oh man.
No.
And so now it's been 3 or 4 days, and I gotta finish that movie because we were just about to the part where all the stuff starts flying.
Oh, the perfect part.
That's right. That's the good stuff. Yep. So where are you at on your lizard canvas? Are you? Is it just background now? Are you almost finished?
No. Well, I'm finishing up the background, and then at the suggestion of my friend, not working on the border until I get that background. And she said, "Yeah, you probably don't want to get the border in until you do that." And I have one more lizard to do, and that's the bearded dragon, and that's the one my son used to have a bearded dragon. So I wanted to make that one pretty special. So I know, they've got that ruffled neck thing going.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking like some sort of stump work, maybe a picot stitch where you do needle weaving and then make it stand out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's got to come off the canvas. Yeah.
Yes. So, but I'm not sure what to do for his body yet. And I'm thinking it needs like little beads in there somehow, but what to do for the stitch, it still hasn't come to me. It's kind of got little triangle shapes at the tips, because if you've ever seen a bearded dragon, they have like these little pointy things coming out of them. And so I was thinking, well, maybe I should do a Milanese stitch, which would give me like a triangle, because you're trying to fit the stitch to the shape of the painted area.
Yeah.
But that's a smooth stitch,
Right.
I guess I could add a rough, add a pearl cotton or something that has a little more texture, but I don't know yet. That's where I'm stuck. And so whenever I work on that canvas and I'm working on the Bargello, I'm thinking, what can I put in that body of that bearded dragon? So yeah, that's the holdup. But I'm close. I'm not too far.
Right.
I have most of the background done. And then the border will go fast because I know what I'm doing on that. It's just a matter of stitching it.
Right.
But
yeah, it seems like close. That. It seems like that comb or ruff or whatever it is around him seems like, to me, like it needs to be a true stump work on wire.
Yeah.
And then attach it down. Yeah.
And and I do have all the so like the gecko, I haven't done his claws or his little feet things yet.
That fiddly
and
thing.
So, but I know, but I know I'm gonna do bullion knots.
Oh, I was going to ask if you were going to do that. Oh, great. That'll work cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so do bullion knots, and then if there's space that I have to cover, I'll just do like a satin stitch, so it kind of makes it look more like a little paw thing.
Yeah.
But I had to get the background done first because he's standing on the background, right? So
Right.
I had to get the background in before I could do those.
Right. Yeah, you got to think about that. Yeah.
Right. So there are layers that you have to think about, and but it's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Well, it looks great. It looks really good. Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. You got to pay attention to what goes on top of what.
Right.
Or it won't look right. Yeah.
Right. And not having done a lot of painted canvases. It's like, okay, so what would look good here? And that's where I think I did all right with the other two. Now I just need to figure out the body of that one lizard.
Well, you knew from the get-go that was going to be the challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I have gotten somebody who said, "Oh, you should just beat it," and I'm like, "Oh no,
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 won't look right. No,
not now, no,
no.
But it might need some beads, and that just to add a little bit to them, that might look good. But yeah, anyway, close to being done.
Yeah.
Close to being done.
Good for you. Hey, you post more than I do on Instagram, but I look at Instagram a lot. I have to crank a little bit. I've just recently become really frustrated with their everything is video.
Right.
And I find myself, even when I'm not doing the reels at the top, they have a way of tricking you into seeing all these videos. And I'll be scrolling through. It's like, why am I? And then I'll realize I had forgotten to go back to the main core. I'm kind of frustrated because now we're not seeing as many pictures of needlework.
Right. It's more, you're seeing more videos, and I don't know why they changed that. A lot of people complained. In fact, they even had a little one-day boycott of Instagram.
Oh, did they? Oh.
Of some of the artists. Yeah, they just said, please just don't get on today. This one day, just get off. And I don't think it made a huge difference.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care. No. But there are more reels, and I find, I can make them. They're all right. But they take time. And most of the people who are artists on there that I follow, they're like, we really don't have time to make a reel. It's just one more thing to add to being an artist. And taking a photo is one thing and posting it, but to take the time to make a video is a whole nother ball of wax, and people just don't like it. And I wonder what it's going to do. There's a lot of challenges that are run on Instagram, which I like to do. Like there's a 100-day challenge, which I like to do. There's been other various artist challenges the jelly printing one, and she was doing them as a reel. The person who was leading that would do a reel or a short video of her prompt for that day, which was fun, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to mess with that. I just wanted to post a photo.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's just kind of tough how they've changed that.
Yeah, it really has frustrated me because I have two Instagram accounts that I follow. I have a GL Par one, and that's where all my cycling and those kinds of things are at. And so for a lot of those, the reels work okay, but still, I'd rather just have the pictures. So that's where that stays. But then we have the Fiber Talk one, and that's all needlework. And that's where I want to go, and I want to look at pictures of what people are stitching. Mm-hmm. And it's really frustrating me that you get caught up in watching these videos and not intentionally. And oh, geez, I forgot to go back. There was this one reel, and then it just feeds the next one and the next one. Right. And I want to see what people are stitching. I want to see the different designs and, oh, that's a good one. Who's the artist for that one? And yeah, it's really become a frustration for me. And
right. I prefer looking at the photos. So I've stopped when the reels come up. Most of the time, I just keep scrolling through them, and I won't even like them just to ignore them, just to say, okay, you want to do these, that's fine, but I'd rather look at a picture. I'd rather look at an image so I can really look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, kind of frustrating.
I'm sure they've done research,
Yes, right.
And yeah, it's obvious. I mean, it's obviously an attempt to be TikTok because that's the hot thing with all the youth of the world is the TikTok, and I find those things just annoying.
Come on, Gary.
No, sorry.
You're not going to jump out of your car, do a little dance, and then hop back in?
No, I am not. No. I just want to look at pictures, and Instagram until now was the place. Right. And you could follow people you like, and then they would make suggestions, and you'd find new people, and you'd see stuff that you wouldn't normally see, and it just
right. Or following a hashtag, that was the other thing.
Yeah.
Kind of fun, because I've been seeing a lot of Rosewood Manor things. And I'm like, oh, ooh, that's a pretty one, and one that I hadn't seen before, or maybe you've seen, and now someone's stitching it. You really can look at the colors. Instagram can be dangerous too that way. But
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't like it that they've changed that, and I think a lot of artists don't like it either. So I don't have an answer for that one. And I'm more concerned about what it's going to do for some of the challenges that I follow.
Yeah.
That I find helpful. I love doing a challenge. A friend asked me that. She said, "Well, do you think?" She says, "I post on Instagram because every day because it makes me want to get something done to show."
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's some truth in that, because if not, you can say, "Well, I didn't do anything yesterday, so I don't have anything to post on Instagram." And for her, it keeps her working on her projects.
Oh, okay.
So she could post them.
Oh, so if she wants to do something every day, then she needs to keep going. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Right. So she'll post a photo, and that way, it's for her, it's motivation. And there is something to be said for that, because for the 100-day challenge, you have to think, okay, if I'm going to post for 100 days, I need to take a photo of something.
Right.
And it can't look exactly like yesterday's post. It's got to be a little different.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna do? What am I gonna show? And you do get into that game. So it might, for some people, I think it's a motivator. To post on Instagram.
Because you've used those to great advantage. Those have kept you moving on several projects. Those kinds, the 100 days or whatever.
Right.
Several times, and you can see the progress every day.
Right.
And yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do like that. So, but I'm certainly not going to do. Someone did post that they were going to do a reel challenge, and I was like, no. I like you. I like your images, but no, I'm not doing a reel challenge.
Yeah.
That would be way more work than I would put into posting on Instagram.
Well, see, that's the thing is, if you talk to any designer about marketing, I would guarantee you probably 95% or more do social media begrudgingly, because it just posting pictures, it takes so much time.
Right.
And you as a designer, if you're going to get your stuff out there so people can see it and buy it, you have to do those things. But it takes so much time. And then if the only way people are going to see it is if you now take the time to make a video and monkey around with that and post that, it's at some point you just go, no.
Right.
And, if you got all the time in the world, those kinds of things are knock yourself out. But
or if you have an assistant, there's the other thing.
yeah,
But these designers don't have assistants. They don't have someone who's going to be running their Instagram accounts for them, taking
right.
images and posting them. No,
Right.
it doesn't happen.
Yep. Yeah, because if you take just Fiber Talk podcasts, we like this one, we record this one, we get done. If there's something I have to edit out because somebody coughed or something, I make a note and I go to that timestamp and edit it out. But basically, this is done. I put the music on and upload it, and that podcast is ready to go. I mean, we've done enough of them. I've got everything pretty well dialed in that it's ready to go. Mm-hmm. And then I do the YouTube video. Well, that now I've got like for the Wednesday show, come up with photos. Sunday show, the guest usually provides the photos, but then they got to all be resized to the same size. And then I got to build the video, and there I'm just marrying still photos to an audio track. And then, then you got to process that video, and then you got to upload it. And it takes 3 times the time easily to do that video as it does for the audio, the podcast that the vast majority of people listen to. 95% of the audience listens to the audio show, and that's simple. And, but I know there's a number of people who like the video and like to see the pictures, so that's okay. I don't mind doing it. But yeah, if I then have to go and make videos on
Instagram, that's a whole nother layer of work. And that's just, it's more than most people have the time for.
Yeah.
It just is a time, and it's a huge time suck. Yeah. It just is. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
And when you get to those things, who pops into my head is Gayanne Rogers. Because people talk about how she handles her sales, and her stuff is only available during this sale, and then it's not available. And there's only one reason for that. She does not want to spend every day doing orders and mailing things out. She wants to spend her time stitching and designing.
Right.
And it's the same kind of thing. Are you a video maker or are you a needle worker? And do you want to stitch or do you want to make videos? And and then if you make a video, then you got to do the stitching to have the video. And it's I'd rather just do a picture and post it. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The way the social media world comes and goes, there'll be somebody come along where pictures will be the thing, and everybody will migrate over there. So.
Right. I think that'll end up happening.
Yeah. I don't know. I will say, I think you were the one when it comes to Kreinik thread about snapping it that mentioned it on a Wednesday night show.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were the one. That works. I had not. That was a new one for me. And giving that Kreinik thread a little snap, boy.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Right. You don't want to do too hard because I think it breaks the fibers, if I'm not mistaken. But just a gentle little tug.
Yeah, the first couple I did too hard. Yeah, don't do that. That takes the resistance out of it, so you can actually stitch with it and not worry about it curling up on the back side. Yeah, that was a good tip. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's nice. Good.
A good one.
Good.
All right, I think we're going to call it right there. I do.
All righty.
So join us tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on the Fiber Talk YouTube channel. We'll just be stitching and chatting, have lots of giveaways. Oh, got a package from Avlia. I have 2 packages that people have sent me of giveaways. I got all kinds of giveaway stuff. So we'll have some giveaways tonight, and we'll stitch and chat and just enjoy an hour of needlework escape. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yep. Okay, that's it. Thanks for listening.
Bye.